welcome back to Bud's World of Fun. Give you guys a little update on the Taylorcraft. There is no update on the Taylorcraft. I'm going to get a hold of B&B Specialties. It's Bennett Built Products. I just haven't had time to do it. I'll probably do it. It'll be done during the week. I can't really do it at work. So I think my next day off is Thursday, so I'm going to give them a buzz on Thursday. They, in the past, have made products for Sachs, Jaeger Sachs engines. I just want to talk to them just to see if they've had any indication on what the problem might be. I haven't found a single person that really knows what we're working with on this one. It's been everywhere from some people think it's too lean, some people think it's too rich. I think if it's got to do with being lean or rich, I think it's too rich. Another friend said that he had a bad coil on a Zeno G38 and did the same thing mine did. It ran fine at idle, ran fine at mid. It was when it was top end is when it was having that problem. So it's very possible that's what it could be. It could just be a really old coil inside a weak coil, or it could just have a bad wire and could be arcing on the inside. I'm just throwing stuff out there. So I still have to get that motor taken off, and I've got to get the flywheel off. I tried taking the flywheel off once and it did not want to come off. General rule is, you know, add a little bit of heat and your problems go away. The problem is right underneath that is that Bosch electronic ignition. I really don't want to get that thing too hot. So I'm going to try a couple other little tricks. I'll get it off the plane first, bring it down here, and then I'll soak it with some either WD-40 or Power Blaster. Let that soak for a little bit. I could add heat to it. If I add heat to it, it'll be with my my irons, covering irons, because I can go ahead. I got 3 of them. I could stack 3 on there and let it warm up on the flywheel itself, so that metal would expand from around the shaft, and hopefully you can get it to pop off. So that's kind of what I plan on doing with that one. Now, the other thing is I was going to bring you guys back in and have you make a choice on what you guys wanted to see next. I threw something in after I said that, and I'll show you what my temporary work on. Should be quick and easy. And then I've got another one, which is an Apogee sailplane that I want to convert over to electric. I built the plane. I'll bring it down so you can see pictures after I show you the other thing outside. I built it when I was recovering from back surgery, you know, a little over 10 years ago, and I never finished it. It just needs to be covered. That's it. It's got everything else done. It's all balanced out, ready to go. So I just have to cover it. And if I was going to fly it the way it was off a high start, I'm going to end up putting lead in the nose of the airplane anyway. So what better to replace lead with is a little inline runner motor. So this is the motor that runs my my little 2-meter sailplane. This one's 2.5 meters, so it's going to be a little bit heavier. But I really don't think it's going to be an issue lifting it, because I'm trying to keep it as light as possible. I want to keep the I gave you guys, I think, a bad number earlier, that it was at 4.8 ounces per square for wing loading on the Aspire. It's actually 7.2. I went back and found out that when I did all the computations. So this one I'm hoping to keep somewhere in the upper 6 ounces per square foot. You know, I'd still like to have it lighter than that. So my goal is, when I'm putting this together, is to keep it as light as possible. And you know, I don't know how much less I can take off of it than what's already, you know, taken off on it. So it's a very nicely well put together plane. So anyway, so that's something. There's an option for that. I'm still trying to find a folding spinner and folding propeller. I could run over and go see Jarvis over at Max Products. That's normally where I get my stuff from, over his distributorship. I'm trying to find something a little bit less expensive. I mean, he's got good products, but I'm trying to find something a little bit less expensive. So I'm just kind of picking away at that upstairs. I found a decent spinner out of that place we like to call Hobby King. The spinner is like $7 plus shipping, but they don't have the good folding props I want. So here's my thing: do I want to get their less expensive folding prop spinner, so their spinner? Do I want to get their less expensive one and then have an issue trying to get some APC folding props that don't work on that spinner? So I'm probably just going to end up giving Jarvis a call, running over there and spending you know, 30 something bucks or whatever, and just getting what I know is going to work. So anyway, that's about that part of that. So let me take you outside and I will get the GoPro set up, because I finally figured out how to run that GoPro. I'll get the GoPro set up over the top of the airplane so I can point out what I want to change on it. Yeah, let me at least bring you out and show you what we're looking at. It's a yellow Piper Cub. It's another quarter scale Cub. This one was the one that I went down to a swap meet, sold 3 planes, and came back with this one. This one does have, you know, some not pretty marks on it, but this one, the reason why I got it, I was going to set this one up with floats and fly it off the water. You can see we're still battling rain. So my goal with this one is I want to put it together, get it running. It's a Zenoa G23 on it that's got okay compression, and it's one of the newer ones. So I want to see how it runs. I want to see if it's going to be what I consider worthy of putting floats on this plane, if it's got enough power. It should. So I'll take it off out of grass. If it doesn't, and I get this one all fixed up, ready to rock, this one will be going up for sale. So, yeah, so what I want to do with this one, let me get the GoPro set up, and I will show you exactly what I kind of plan to do with that one. Alright, let's see if everything's working out nicely. Alright, the way he wired everything in, I want to see if I can get you, yeah, you can see it. He wired everything in very, very strangely, and I don't understand why he did it the way he did it. So what we're going to do is, I mean, all this stuff is going to be, oh, I see what he did. I don't know if you can see it from there, but there's a little piece of wood right here. He had the receiver stacked on top of that. So anyway, so this stuff will be all taken out. I'm not 100% sure on these 3010s. If they're Metal Gear, they'll stay in there. We got the one side for the rudder and one side for the elevator, and they're set up just like mine. I'm going to, of course, pull the battery pack out here. Over here is his, that's his throttle servo. And over this side is a kill switch, which is really strange. It's got a micro switch to kill the engine, and then he's also got one down there on the bottom. I don't know if you can see it, another micro switch to kill an engine. It's not hooked up to anything. So these will be pulled out. I don't work with micro switches. So I'll just get another one of those little relays that I got for the Taylorcraft, and I'll hook that up. His fuel tank is up high. It does not need to be up high unless it is a glow engine. It's not a glow engine, it's gas. So I'll pull all that stuff out of the front. I'm going to go ahead, and if I've got to move this a little bit farther back, I will. If not, the fuel tank will be set up on the CG, because the last thing you want to do, especially if you're going to be flying with floats on, you don't want your weight distribution to change. So like I said, so this will get moved back. So there's some work that's got to be done. I'll take the cowling off, and I'll keep you guys all up to date on this. You'll be watching to go through. It's not going to be that difficult. It should be quick and easy. I'm hoping, you know, a couple days work tops to get this one ready to fly again. I mean, everything else worked. Sorry about that. Everything else worked on the plane. Batteries still work, but those batteries are going. I've got new batteries coming in. So we'll see how everything comes together, and you know, if I'm happy with the way it's working and the way it comes out, excellent. If it flies very nicely, then I'll consider building the floats, and that's not going to be done this year. That'll probably be done sometime next year. So anyway, let me go run upstairs, and I will bring the apogee down here just so you guys can see what I want to do to it. All right, we're back outside, and here is the apogee. That's it sits in the 2.5 meter or the 100-inch class. It's got to be under 100 inches, so it's probably like 99.5. I never measured it because I'm not going to compete, but it was designed this way for competition. So this is just a rudder elevator. So there's nothing else. Technically, it's a rudder elevator spoilers, an RES. These are spoilers that you can put servos on if you wish. And I've already got it set up where I'm not, and this I did this 10 years ago. I'm not running, if I'm running wires through, they're coming through these little fiberglass tubes. So when you look on the inside, nothing holds these wings on. That's the kind of the scary part. I've got my locating pins, my anti-rotation pins put in. You can't see this one. You should be able to see this one up here. Here's the other anti-rotation pin, and then you got them on this side. I don't know what they used back in the day to hold these things in place. What I've got here is another piece, and you might be able to see it from down here. Nope, it's kind of hard to see it. Right in there, there's a little black piece of tubing in the same tube that's in here. I've got a 1/4 inch. I'd have to measure it. It might not be 1/4 inch, but it's probably pretty close to 1/4 inch. Here, let me just pull it apart. Things I do for you guys. Oh, she's being stubborn. Yeah, it looks like 1/4 inch. That's just piano wire. It's a big piece of piano wire, and that slides into another tube. So what I'm trying to decide is if I want to continue going with that, or if I want to find some carbon fiber tubing or rod that's the same. What I'm kind of almost considering doing is, if I wanted to, I could glue this into one side. So if I wanted to glue it into this wing, and then I can come over on this side and through here make a binder, make something as a screw that's going to come up from the bottom and hit a little teeny, if I just put a drill, like the little partial dent into it, and just have a grub screw go in and hit it just to keep it from coming apart. I may just do that. So it would be, let's just say that once it's covered, this is permanently attached to that wing, or I can do it the same way. I could put a grub screw in and then another grub screw, but I'd rather have it permanently attached to one wing and then grub screw it in the other through a little port on the bottom. So I'd have to make a hole in just the right spot, and you guys know that all the work I did on that Taylorcraft, that would be a piece of cake. So I'm not that concerned about that. But anyway, the plane itself is in all essence ready to be covered. I can't find the canopy. I have no idea where the canopy is. I've got to look for it. If not, I'm going to make my own. If I put that motor up front, let me grab the motor. I hid it back here somewhere. So if this motor comes out, pardon the interruption. All right, so this motor, this will get cut off. If I put the motor in, this will get cut off. This will sit up here because there is plywood. There is plywood right here at this cap. That's what this balsa glues to. This would just come up to the front, drill through, stick out the front side of this. So then I'd have a spinner coming off the front of this, out front. So I'd have to kind of redesign this nose just a little bit, and that's not really that big of a deal. You know, I'll make it work. Up here, if I can get a 40mm spinner, by the time we get out to here, where I can shave it, I can make that work, and it'll look good enough. But this is the one that if I wanted to, if I didn't have to modify the front of this too much, I could just cut this off and have this be a replaceable piece if you wanted to take this system out. But you know, it is a vintage. It was a vintage kit when I put it together. The kit was probably from, I think it was around 1980, 82, somewhere around there. So you know, I could do whatever I really want with it because it's mine. On the bottom of this, you can see I've got the piano wire. That's the hook. That's for toe up and release, and that's in the right spot. And that is properly attached into the system so that won't fail. And if you had to remove it, you know, good luck. So anyway, let me show you what the tail end does. This side here is the elevator, and it's a full flying elevator. And the way that system works is you run the wire all the way down through, and then you run the wire, you curve it, and then you run it up through the vertical stabilizer, and it attaches to this. Now this comes apart. If in transport, if you don't want this on, you can just take the two ends. Let's see if I can do it while you're on the video. You can take the two ends off. So that way, while you're in transport, these things are so light and so delicate. They probably, I just want to make sure this wind coming through is not going to blow my stuff away. Let me go move this inside. Those little full flying elevators, if I weighed them right now, maybe an ounce for both of them, they're very light. And you can see I actually have to use string, very lightweight Kevlar string to wrap that, to hold it together. So let me show you on a wing what it's going to look like. When it gets covered, it's going to be covered in white. So the fuselage, that's going to be the main color. The top of the wing is going to have a red stripe coming down here. It might be the same thickness as this, but probably not. It might just come up about 2 inches. It's going to be a red stripe that comes in and then bends all the way on up to the tip. And what I'll probably do is I'll probably make the stripe as wide as this is here. Come up and then terminate at the end. Both sides. On the bottom, if I can flip this upside down nicely. On the bottom of the wing, it's going to be white. And then from here, from this line all the way out to the tip, it's going to be blue. So it will be red, white, and blue, but it's going to be blue just for the wing tips. And on the elevator, the top side will be white, and the bottom side will be that same color blue that's on the bottom of that wing. And I'm dropping stuff already. It doesn't take that long. So yeah, so that way you can tell the difference between when it's up in the air and you're in a tight bank like this, and so you're coming this way, you can see the red on the wingtips, and then if you're going the other way around, you just see, I should say, you see the red on the leading edge of the wings, and then if it's going the other way, you see the wingtips blue and the tail blue. So just to let you know what the heck the plane's really doing when it gets up there. So anyway, that's kind of my tentative goal on what I want to work on now. I've got so much stuff to do. Good old Uncle Larry DeRubo, he I got a and I'm gonna hear this from him too. He had an Arizona Models DR1 that he got, you know, a couple decades ago. When I met him, he had it in his basement. And since that day, I called it my plane and kept asking, when am I going to get my plane? He gave me that plane, so I have to finish it up. It's got a little bit of hanger rash on it, but everything is there. It's going to be, it's already covered and painted. I just got to decide, and this is just me, if I want to keep it the way it is, or if I want to pick, you know, some good World War I German pilot that flew one of those things, and it's not going to be von Richthofen. I really don't want to have the Red Baron plane, unless it's the correctly colored one he passed away in. So anyway, you know, is that gonna, that was something that was brought up that somebody, Larry, wanted to see get done first. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that one. I still have to. I'm still going to do the the Haviland Tiger Moth, the biplane Tiger Moth. That's going to be the winter project, and that one is an almost ready to cover plane. I've already got the covering. It's going to be fabric, and I think I told you we're going Minwax. And then I've already got the paint job, you know, figured out. It's going to look pretty much about like this, which is very reminiscent of how the way that the original DH-71 Tiger Moth was painted. The same design on the fuselage, different color, and there's no stripes on the wings, but I liked it so much that that's the way it's going to get painted. So at least with that one, because it'll be another gasser too. I'm not going glow on that. It's going to be, I think, an NGH 17cc gas engine. So that'll be a gasser too, which I don't have the motor, but that's going to be the wintertime project. So, and that's why that Cub might get sold, just to help fund. Because, you know, if I get a couple $100 for the Cub, it's just a little bit less than what I need to spend on the motor for the for the Tiger Moth. So anyway, all right, let me get this stuff cleaned up before that rain starts again, because we had a little sprinkle again, and I will bring it back down and get you set up. Let's start tearing into that Cub. All right, as I'm trying to work my way around the plane, figure out what I want to do to what down inside the fuselage, I decided, because I want to move the throttle cable. I want to move the cockpit around a little bit. I don't like the way he's got it set up, and I'm just still trying to figure out why he's got it set up the way he's got to set it up with the throttle servo where it sits. In most cases, you're not putting the throttle servo up high because of the way that the Zenoas work. You're going to bring it in down low because it comes up on the other side of the carb, on the top side of the carb. When the engine's inverted, it's on the bottom of the carb. So anyway, so I take the cowling off, and lo and behold, when this was up here, it wasn't on the top. Normally, where you see these wires come through for the kill switch, that's where you'd be coming through for the throttle. But the throttle's coming from up here. It's got a bell crank on it. You don't have to use a bell crank on a Zenoa G23. So, if you turn this upside down, it's not a Zenoa G23, it's a Colt G22. Now, Colt G22 ended up becoming the Zenoa G23. Alright, stop listening to that, bud. Listen to this one. Alright, here's a quick little heads up on the Colt. What they did is they were actually involved in the RC industry. They made helicopters, they made some other stuff too. These things were flown in their helicopters. They made big helicopters, and what they did was they ended up making these, they used these things in them. Now what they used a Zenoa G23 cylinder. So this is still the same cylinder as the Zenoa. And, you know, so 22.5 cc's is Zenoa's 23. It's running the same cylinder. All right, what they ended up doing with this one, these ended up getting purchased by Zenoa for, you ready for this one? For, I think it's Komatsu, Zenoa, whatever the heck the name of their company is, for leaf blowers. They were blowers. So this is what this is. As per usual, it's the leaf blower motor. But what they ended up doing is the guy who manufactured them apparently liked RC helicopters. So that's what they actually made versions of this that were designed for boats too, with a liquid cooled cylinder on it. So all the specs on this motor meet up with what they say the G23 can do. So just wanted to give you a little heads up and correct the other bud, because sometimes he could be an idiot. So all right, back to the video. So that's what this one was originally used for, but it was purchased. So it's unfortunately, you know, I was told it was a G23, and it's a G22. So it should have approximately the same power, because like I said, they both run the same G23 cylinder. So you know, it's just a matter of fudging the numbers, you know, however it works out. So yeah, there's weird little strangeness things on this one. he may have had to put the weight up front, but I think that this guy, when he changed this motor out, this was originally set up for a glow engine. And you can just tell by the way they had to move everything farther forward, and of course by where this is sitting at. So if I take the engine off, which I really don't want to, but if I take the engine off, we'll be able to see the proper mounts where the standoff went. So that's why he had to custom make his own little standoffs. So, I mean, whoever put this on, they took the time to make it look decent out of square stock. So I'll leave that the way it is. You know, we're leaving this motor in and we're going to fly it the way it is. So I will, I'm probably going to leave this up on the top because I don't see a reason to change it. What I can do, because I've got this old throttle cable that will work, I can go ahead and move this farther back here, because this throttle cable will give me enough rope to get outside and then back up to this bell crank, so I can still move it farther back. I do have a picture. I did take a picture that I'll put, see if I can do this the right way. Let me move, there we go. I will, I'll put the picture up here just so you got a good idea of what the inside of the other Piper Cub looks like. I want to get it set up close. So the controls will probably get moved a little farther back, which means, yes, I'm going to have to undo the push-pull rods and pull them out and then make some adjustments. That's magic, man. That's just magic. Alright, seeing that we got rain on the way in, let me show you where I'm at before I wrap it up and throw it back inside again. Okay, everything has been taken out. I just got done putting the servos in, and that's where I moved the throttle servo back down here. Everything was taken out. It was torn out. Didn't take me long. It was kind of fun. So anyway, I'll make a little battery tray up front for where the battery's going to sit, because they're going to be all the way up by the firewall. What I did was, this was something that came out of, I'm trying to think where this came out of. It was a 24-ounce tank, and it was just sitting here. So if it looks blue, that's because it had oil in it. So that I got everything cleaned out and it's all spiffy inside. What I'm doing is, what was originally in there was a 16-ounce, a little 16-ounce tank. Now you can fly that plane on a 16-ounce tank without much issue. On my big biplane, I've got a 16-ounce tank flying the big biplane, and that's got a G38. That's why my flights I have limited to 10 minutes on the biplane, because you don't want to run out of fuel, especially on a biplane. They glide like a brick. So I had a 24-ounce sitting here, and I've got 20, I think a 24 in my other Piper Cub. So this will sit in here. See if I can show you. It's going to sit on the floor, and I'm going to prop up the back. So it'll sit partially raised up like this. And let's see if I can get my hand in a better position. There we go. It'll be partially raised up like this. So I'll make it so that when it's in flight, it's level. So I'll make it so that, because right now in flight, it would still be fine. I can bring it up maybe, I don't know, maybe 3/8 inch. So I'll raise it up because I want to have a good place to put straps on it. So that'll get filled in there. Like I said, there's a hole. The batteries will go farther up front. I put the cowling back on as much as I didn't want to, because I'm not done hooking things up yet. But I wanted to get the weight. And on my Piper Cub, without the wing, if you hold your fingers right here, right at this joint, it's level. And the way this one's set up right now, it's level. So I'm good to go. So it's and the junk that I pulled out of there was huge. He had extensions everywhere. So, and those, you know, I'll put them back in and use them. The servos, the 3010 servos, the S3010 servos, they call them high torque. They're like 90-inch ounce servos, which isn't really strong. I still may throw that high tech in for the elevator, just because I don't trust nylon gears on gas planes. The vibration just beats those things up, and who knows how long they've been flying on here. So anyway, the battery pack, this is the battery pack that came out of it, and maybe this could have been the last time it was flown, but at least the last time the battery pack was from 2015. So I won't use this again, but I will charge it up. So I've got another battery pack for when I set planes up. It's just sitting around, you throw it in, you get radios bound, whatever the deal is. It's just something to have hanging around. So the other servos were, the other batteries were shipped today. So those should be in hopefully, I don't know, 3 or 4 days. They come out of Washington State. So those will come in. The fuselage is relatively close. Until those batteries come in, I'm not going to make the shelves. So I'll get as much buttoned up as I can with the fuselage today, because I think it's got to be 5 o'clock. Yeah, it's almost 6 o'clock. So anyway, that's about it for now. So I'll see you guys next time. We're back down here in my empire of dirt.